It's clear to us now that at the time, the AC system was a much better method of transmitting electric power. And you'd think that with Tesla's breakthroughs, nothing could stand in the way of the success of AC over DC.
But one man still believed totally in his direct current inventions. From the filaments of the bulbs to the switches, sockets, and generators. And he wasn't about to waste millions of dollars on changing them. Edison.
The battle lines were drawn. Westinghouse and Tesla went toe-to-toe with Edison for New York's lucrative lighting contracts. Two completely different systems battling it out for one ultimate prize. The chance to light up America and then the world. It would become known as the War of the Currents.
Both camps tried to undercut each other on cost, but Edison believed his beloved direct current was better than alternating current because it was safer. Touching an Edison cable with its low voltage was painful but relatively harmless, whereas alternating current cables carried a much higher voltage, and touching them could be deadly.
So, what Edison was trying to do was to again define his DC system, right, as the safe system. It's better than electric street arc lights. It's better than gas, and it's now better than high voltage AC incandescent lighting, right? It's the system that's safe. You adopt the Edison system, you can be sure it's going to be safe.
Edison claimed that AC was a more dangerous type of current than DC, and he highlighted every accident to Westinghouse's workmen and every fire caused by short circuits. It was a potent message because in the 1880s, many people were still terrified by electricity. It could shock and even kill in an instant, and the reasons why still weren't fully understood. For many, the idea of piping this invisible killer into their homes was utterly ludicrous. So the weapon used in the War of the Currents was fear.
And a little-known electrical engineer, Harold P. Brown, was about to take the fight against AC to a whole new level. It was to prove one of the most extreme and negative publicity campaigns in history.
Brown had devised a unique and theatrical way of demonstrating the deadly power of AC. And he was eager to share it with the world. So on a warm summer's evening in July 1888, he gathered together 75 of the country's top electrical engineers and reporters to witness a spectacle they would never forget. Brown's plan was extremely macabre. He'd paid a team of street urchins to collect together stray dogs roaming Manhattan. Out on stage, he addressed his audience. I have asked you here, gentlemen, to witness the experimental application of electricity to a number of brutes. His demonstration involved electrocuting the dogs with DC and AC power in an attempt to show that AC current killed them more quickly.
And it wasn't just dogs. Brown went on to make public spectacles of killing a calf and even a horse.
And he moved from dogs to larger animals for a reason. He wanted to show that the AC form of electricity was so dangerous it could kill any large mammal, including humans.
Brown's animal experiments had persuaded American politicians the most humane method of executing condemned criminals should be with alternating current, generated by Westinghouse machines. Edison's lawyers even suggested a new term to describe being electrocuted in this way: to be Westinghoused. And at precisely 6:32 on the morning of the 6th of August 1890, a 45-year-old man, William Kemmler, was strapped to a wooden chair and 2 soaking wet electrodes were carefully attached to him. And as 26 officials and doctors looked on from an adjoining room, Kemmler said goodbye to the prison chaplain and waited.
The execution of William Kemmler marked the lowest point in the War of the Currents, but it wouldn't quite mark the end, because Nikola Tesla was about to do something that had never been seen before, something so wondrous and daring that it would live on forever in the memories of those who saw it.
Tesla had been developing a method of generating very high-frequency alternating currents, and on May 21st, 1891, at a meeting of top electrical engineers, he demonstrated it.
In an almost magical display of awesome power and wonder, and without wearing any safety chainmail or mask, tens of thousands of volts produced by a Tesla coil passed across his body and through the end of a lamp that he was holding.
Tesla's alternating current was at such a high frequency that it passed through his body without causing serious harm or even pain. His demonstrations showed that if handled correctly, alternating current at extremely high voltages could be safe. The war of the currents had been won by Westinghouse and Tesla. In 1896, a new power station was completed at Niagara Falls, using Westinghouse AC generators to produce Tesla's polyphase current. Finally, huge amounts of power could be transmitted from the falls to nearby Buffalo. And then, a few years later, the Niagara plant was providing power to New York City itself. And today, almost all of the electricity generated in the world is done so using Tesla's system.
But Tesla's story doesn't end in fame and fortune.
Although he went on to make significant contributions to many other areas of science and invention, to save George Westinghouse from ruin after a stock market crash, he gave up his claim to the royalties from his polyphase inventions.
Nikola Tesla was a uniquely talented man, and we owe him so much. But he was also hugely complicated, and sadly later in life he became more and more troubled. He was fixated with the number 3, counting it out loud as he walked, and he developed strange phobias with germs and with women wearing pearl jewelry. In many ways, his brilliant mind simply spun out of control. As Tesla's life unraveled, he withdrew from people and found emotional comfort elsewhere. He became obsessed with pigeons and was regularly seen feeding them here in Bryant Park in the center of Manhattan. He even fell in love with one particularly unusual white bird, and when it died, he was left heartbroken.
As an old man, Tesla was left almost bankrupt and alone. living as a semi-recluse in this hotel. His last years were spent here in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel, sad, confused, destitute. Edison went on to become an American hero, and his company would form part of General Electric, even today one of the world's biggest multinational corporations. In January 1943, the story of Nikola Tesla was coming to an end. But looking out across the Manhattan skyline for the very last time, he saw a sky lit up with twinkling lights and a million lives transformed by his genius.
The ability to generate and transmit electricity and the invention of machines to use it have changed our world in ways we couldn't possibly have imagined.
We can now generate billions of watts of electricity every second, every hour, every day. And whether we do it using coal, gas, or nuclear fission, power stations all rely on the principles discovered and developed by Michael Faraday, Nikola Tesla, and all the other early electrical engineers from an amazing age of invention. We now take electricity for granted and have forgotten how magical and mysterious a force it once was. But there's something we should never forget.
Today, without it, the modern world would collapse around us, and our lives would be very, very different.
In the next episode, we tell of the electrical revelations that led to a revolution in our understanding of this amazing force.
To find out more about the story of electricity and to put your power knowledge to the test, try the Open University's interactive energy game. Go to bbc.co.uk/electricity and follow links to the Open University.
And the story of electricity concludes here on BBC HT at the same time next Thursday. Next this evening, Tracy Emin on Who Do You Think You Are?